What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Ghost checking in here. Going to talk to one of the greatest to ever do it in our sport of mixed martial arts, DC Daniel Cormier, a former light heavyweight and heavyweight champion in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And right now, of course, he wears many hats, but most of you know him from the broadcast team for the UFC. How you doing, DC? No good, huh?
You guys know what just happened. God. Listen, man, it's hard to feel. It's hard when you feel slighted. And I feel slighted. I feel slighted. But
Yeah.
Thomas Tuchel is out, and he should be. This guy subs out Harry Kane. I mean, they throw up an early offsides in Champions League semifinals. We're supposed to have a all Bundesliga final in the Champions League, but that is not the case, and Real Madrid will once again win. So it is what it is. It's hard to feel slighted, though.
So we just watched Champions League, and he's right. With less than 10 minutes to go, Bayern Munich was up 1-0, and
Dude, can you
the first
believe
game
that?
was 2-2, and they're in Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu. So this would have been a historical upset for them. And then these two guys, or not these two guys, the Real Madrid comes back and scores 2 goals in the last 10 minutes.
5 minutes.
Incredible.
5 minutes.
Yeah. That's great that you love. Who got you into soccer and European soccer, more specifically?
FC 24, the video game. Once I got a hold of that video game, it was over. I was at a San Jose Earthquakes game last night. I'm just all in. It's crazy. I watch bad soccer, good soccer. I just like the sport. It's fun, man. It's fun to watch.
So let's get it out of the way, and then we'll get to some MMA. But you like please. Man City when it comes to the English Premier League. Are you married to them, or are you just feeling them out? Because it sounds like you jump around.
Well, if you've known, you guys have known me since the very start of this thing. I try to pick winners, but I like Man City. I also like the Gunners of Arsenal, led by the great Mikel Arteta. But here's my deal. One of my friends told me the other day at the UFC, he's a big-time Liverpool fan, and he's got a freaking tattoo. And people that like this are like Habib loves Real Madrid. So him and I are going back and forth right now on text messages. He always tells me, shut up. Don't talk to me about this. You have no idea. 20 years. He was at the first leg in Munich of Bayern and Real Madrid last weekend. And he told me that I can't pick Manchester City, Arsenal, or Bayern as my teams. But why would I pick Luton Town or one of those other teams? Like, who does that? Who would pick a team like Ariel likes Nottingham Forest or whatever? They're in the relegation zone. Why do you want to live like that? Why do you want to? Why? It's nuts. I'm picking the best. I want to stay in the Premier League.
Okay, so let me just scold the shit out of you and about 3 other guys. First of all, John Anik pissed me off about 10 years ago when he goes, I'm going to get in the English Premier League and I'm going to choose Man City. He went straight to the top. So you did what he did. You went to the top of the table and you go, them. That would be like saying, I mean, it's like saying, give me women's USA and women's soccer, or give me Georgia or Alabama in college football. Bro, there's no struggle. The struggle is the funnest part.
But
like when we started interviewing you when you were 0-0 at
yes, I get it. You went on the journey with me. You went on the journey with me, George. George, you went on the journey with me. I understand it, but there were people that came at the end when I was already holding the championship, and I welcomed them with open arms. Because why would they have gone down, looked at the rankings, and said, I want to support the number 10 guy? That's not how it works.
Well, no, I mean, we did it. You weren't even the number 100 guy when we started.
So who do you support? Cool. Who? The question is, who do you
Manchester
support?
United.
Oh,
Manchester United. I've done it.
Okay, but like, it's not like you guys weren't. It's not like you weren't the Manchester City of the past. So you probably picked them when they were racking up Premier League championships.
In the mid-90s, when there was no soccer in the United States, and it was the only European league that I could see on my sorry-ass cable system. And I saw a guy named Eric Cantona with his collar flipped up. I go, man, that's cool, because I went to a Catholic high school, and so I went through that whole preppy thing in the 80s. I go, okay, that's my guy right there, Eric Cantona. I love him, and so that's been my team, right? But then all these people that are City fans, City's like, They're nothing, man. I mean, they're legit right now. I get it,
They've
but
won
10
the
years
Premier
ago,
League.
they were absolutely zero.
Yeah, that's where
Anyone
the
that's kind of
struggle was,
riding
and
that
that's where the
coattail,
struggle was for us. They were nothing. They were the little brother to you guys, and now they are the champions.
you didn't
All
experience
hail
that
the
though.
champions.
You didn't experience that. You went into
But that,
Disneyland and
but
said,
but
"I'm going straight to Space Mountain. And I'm going to the
but there
front of the
was a
line, and I don't care
struggle.
about anything else."
It goes, but there was
Mhm.
a struggle, and we lived through that, and now we are the champions.
And he's wearing a Bayern Munich. So and then in the Bundesliga, he's a Bayern
Yeah.
fan. Like
But this
it's
year we
too.
struggled in the Bundesliga. We struggled, so I'm going
Habib's
through the
favorite
struggle with
team
Bayern
in
this
the
year.
English Premier League.
What?
Habib's favorite team in the English Premier League is Manchester United. He told me that.
Yeah, I know, but he just is. He's a fake fan. Khabib is a fake
That
fan.
that
I'm a real
that's the
fan.
team. Arsenal and City, I mean, they're legit this year. I'll give it to them. But if you want to experience a struggle, forget about Luton Town. Go to United. United's like struggling right now. But
You
I'm
guys are
telling
like
you,
number 7 in the. You guys are like right
when they make it when
middle
you
of
make
the
it to the
table.
top, you watch how cool it is. It's the
You're in
coolest
the
ride ever
middle
when
of the
they're
table. That's not a struggle.
That's
as
a
far
struggle.
as John Anik goes, your boy John Anik, he chose City right when they were like they had just won it. They were at the top. I was like, oh come on, man. I think it had something to do with the UFC and their partners with those guys or whatever. And then your boy Ariel, I clearly remember when Leicester City won it, Ariel was like, yeah, what's up? Leicester City flexing. I go, man, you're a Leicester fan? I go, that's pretty legit. He goes, yeah. And then all of a sudden I see him with this whole Nottingham Forest thing going on. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know you could just jump around like that.
It's so ridiculous. But here's the deal. That's why John Anik and I are so close and comfortable together. We did a thing the other day on the weigh-in show. It was like the newlywed game. John Anik and I, when asking questions, we went, I mean, they had 10. We went 9 of 10. 9 of 10 in terms of questions. How many children? Where is he from? Children's name, firstborn's name. We were just like, they would ask us, DC, what's this? Bang. John, what's DC's thing? Bang. John, what is DC allergic to? Bang. It was amazing to watch. And that's what a good partnership is.
Well, I mean, I could have answered that. Allergic to rooting for good teams. I probably would have said that.
Look, so you're
let me be the voice of reason.
Allergic to returning texts.
Go ahead, Ghost.
Let me be the voice of reason. It's not too late. Switch. Join. Be with us. We got a good squad. MVP, Michael Venom Page. He's a Man U fan. There's a lot of guys you can roll with.
Bro. No.
I get what you're saying about middle of the pack. Nobody goes to a steakhouse and asks for a hamburger. I get that.
For real. Yes,
but we're not hamburger. We're a little bit higher.
Salisbury steak. They stuff you in a whole bunch of gravy. They cook you as a hamburger. They put you in a whole bunch of gravy and put you over rice. That's what you are. But we. So my choices are between a nice filet. That's Man City. And if I'm not feeling filet on that night, and I was able to eat shellfish, Arsenal, beautiful lobster with a nice butter, just amazing. But I can talk about this all day. I can talk soccer all day.
I'm a Niners fan, but I wish I could just be a Chiefs fan all of a sudden. Like, they've taken 2 of our Super Bowls. I just wish I could do that.
Yeah, well, you can't do that.
Just
that's ridiculous.
Duke, the Yankees.
What disqualifies you from that is being from here. Now, if you were European and looking for a team, and you said, "Oh, I love the Chiefs," sure, but you're an American. You don't get to do that.
How did you choose Bayern Munich? I'm curious about this.
You were born somewhere, and where you were born generally chooses what team you root for. That's how it goes. You don't get to change the rules.
How did you choose Bayern Munich, though? All right, let me ask you about that one.
Harry Kane. Oh, I love Harry Kane. He just scores goals. It's just goal after goal after goal. He's a man. I like him.
So why aren't you a Tottenham fan?
Because of the Kim? No. Didn't like him at Tottenham. Nope, didn't like him at Tottenham. I wasn't into soccer.
It's only been a year. The transformation's been that incredible.
I wasn't into it yet like that.
Okay, you did the FC24. All right.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, all this seems fresh, so I think you're just learning your way through it. So I think we'll just get some tequila in you, shake you up a little bit.
I've put my stake in the mud. I'm rocking with the champions, and I like the Gunners, and I'm staying with Bayern. It will not change. Miles,
that's fine. Germany's fine.
My guy Miles,
United. Uh-huh.
Hey, Liverpool.
We can agree on that.
Liverpool fans are like the Raiders fans.
That's funny. Who are the best fans you've ever experienced covering MMA when you go to all these cities?
The best fans in mixed martial arts. Well, I'll tell you, there's some that I found something, guys, that the places that you don't go often are the best. I mean, they're excited, they're there early, people never leave. It's just fun. I really recall Columbus, Ohio. When we went to Columbus, Ohio, when Curtis Blades fought against who did Curtis Blades fight in that final? Oh, it was a guy. Look, one of the two brothers. It was the heavyweight. The two brothers. They both had been getting knocked out. Jorginho knocked
Nogueras?
him out. What's his name?
What? The two
Two
brothers? I
brothers.
can only think of two
One's a
brothers.
middleweight. One's a heavyweight. 185. What's the guy's name? Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. Uh,
Dawkins.
Dawkins. Chris Dawkins.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the main event. Chris Dawkins versus Curtis Blades.
Yeah.
Whole night full, no seat empty, unbelievably loud. But it was just that appreciation for having an event live in that town that the people showed out. So for me, it's about the places that we don't go often, and when you
Mm-hmm.
go, they go crazy. But I mean, for a while, everything was a sellout. Like after COVID, everything was a sellout. Last weekend in Brazil, it wasn't. But hell, Madonna had a freaking concert that
I
was
know.
free. And they were on the same night, and there were like 1.5 million people there. But yeah, everything was a sellout for a long time.
Settle a quick argument for me, you two.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Who's the bigger concert, the Rolling Stones or Madonna?
Fuck.
God,
Maybe I'll give you guys more info. In 2006, at that same beach, I saw the Rolling Stones.
was it
Right,
crazy?
and I remember it was 1.5 million. They said there might have been 2 million for Madonna. I was talking to my buddy Big Ralph because he was there with me. He goes, "Yeah, but the Rolling Stones are bigger." I go, "Bro, I think Madonna is." He goes, "No,
I
they've
think
been
Madonna
around
might be
longer."
the biggest act in the world. I think Madonna. I honestly, I don't know because we're in this arena. Nobody, they don't speak English, right? They speak Portuguese, but it's all of the UFC's playing all of the music, like Michael Jackson and Madonna. They know the
Yeah,
songs.
Mhm.
How do you know what they're saying? Are you just liking the beat? They don't speak English, but they know the
yeah.
songs. I think Madonna might be one of the biggest acts in the entire world.
It was
That
awesome
was
when
impressive.
at the end of the show though, when 1.5 million people had to all leave at the same time, that
Could
is
you
a
imagine?
scary sight because people were getting trampled and pushed into walls, and little kids had to be lifted over fences.
Really?
So yeah, it was fun, except at the very end, and hopefully they learned from that. But that was 18 years ago.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy
who knows?
stuff.
But yeah, I thought Madonna was bigger because I thought Latin America, the Americas just connect more with Madonna than the Rolling Stones. Of course, I know both,
Yeah.
Rolling Stones are legit. How did you get the goosebumps when Aldo came out? I saw a lot of Brazilian legends with their phones out as Aldo was walking
I
out.
did.
What did you
I've
think
got
of
to
it?
agree
Because
with
I think this guy sometimes gets shuffled like he's below some of these other guys like GSP and Anderson and some of the
Yep.
other guys that have moved on or whatever, even yourself.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I had my phone out. I made sure to video his walkout because you just don't know if it's going to happen again. It's one of those things where I think we as mixed martial arts fans, we love having someone um, to root for, but we also love the idea of, is this guy going to retire? Is this guy going to retire? Is this guy going to retire? And then when they do, we miss them, right? So when Jose Aldo, and normally they don't come back, right? We don't really get them back, especially in the way that Jose Aldo came back. But Aldo came out, looked phenomenal, and his walkout was as special as you would imagine. I mean, I loved it, man. I pulled my phone out. I don't know how someone can be as accomplished as Aldo and still not feel like people respect him enough. He
Right.
should be respected more. But when we talk about the greatest of all time, people even now, right, still say uh Anderson's the greatest middleweight of all time. People say George St. Pierre is the greatest middleweight of all time. Kamaru Usman was really getting close. But with Aldo, it's like if a guy puts together a run, they go, well, Max is the greatest featherweight of all time. And then here comes Volkanovski. Well, Volkanovski is the greatest featherweight of all time. And I don't know why it seems easy to shift past what Jose Aldo did when what Jose Aldo did was so spectacular.
Because the head-to-head, I think, is what helps those guys' cases. Whereas Kamaru didn't beat GSP.
Yeah.
And Izzy did beat Silva, but Silva was, way past his prime.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah.
You could say Aldo was starting to get past his prime when he was losing to those guys. But he was still young, but a lot of miles, right? When he started winning and defending those championships at such a young age, by the time he was getting the max in those dudes, them dudes that changed the game. And we all know how great Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski is.
Yeah, he definitely turned back the clock on Saturday night. We're talking to Daniel Cormier here. Goes, what you got for DC?
Daniel, so that being said, this version of Jose Aldo to me was one of the better ones we've ever seen. We know he has what it takes to win fights, but does he have what it takes to maybe win a title and maybe even defend it?
I don't know, because it seemed like he was slowing down in the third round. Now, he still won that round. He still fought well. But he did seem to be slowing down. I mean, there'll be 2 more rounds with a guy like Sean O'Malley, who's long, who's rangy, who's hitting you from angles that back when Jose was fighting, guys weren't moving like O'Malley. They weren't fighting in the way that O'Malley fought. You got to remember, we used to have guys that specialized in one thing that made them great, meaning wrestlers were great takedown artists. So when he was fighting Chad Mendez, while he had a power, it generally came from the overhand right. Jose was going to know that every day of the week. You could see that. He's too talented. Cub Swanson was a striker, but Jose didn't have to worry about the takedowns. So did the Korean Zombie. All those guys had things they did well. Nobody was like these guys that are fighting today. Like O'Malley can do it all. At least it seems as though he can. A guy like Corey Sandhagen can do it all. Umar Nurmagomedov can do it all. Merab Dvalishvili, while he may seem the most like a specialist, the reason he's able to wrestle so effectively is because he will strike with you or give you the idea that he's going to strike with you. So I just think that it would be very difficult for him in this day and age to get to a championship. But hell, not being a champ at 38 or 37, it's really not anything to frown about.
Another Brazilian that's kind of taken our sport by storm, Alex Pereira. He started off as a middleweight. He's a light heavyweight now, and he's even teased possibly heavyweight. By looking at him, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Anthony Johnson, right? You saw how low he started. He even fought welterweight. A guy like Pereira, when you see his skill set, when you see his body frame, can he fight at heavyweight and can he be successful?
Yeah, he can be successful at heavyweight. I think that he can do whatever he wants. Look, man, I'm past betting against Alex Pereira. I mean, excuse me, fellas, excuse me. I'm past saying that he can't do something. I think time and time again, Alex Pereira has proven he can do whatever he wants. Look, every challenge has challenges, and every great thing will be hard. So him at heavyweight, there would be some issues, but there's issues at 205. When you get to heavyweight, especially for him, he'll have guys like Tom Aspinall or Curtis Blades, guys that truly can cause him some problems with their size and their wrestling ability. But it's not impossible. I think to think that Alex would not find success would be a massive mistake.
You know, when we're sitting here talking about goats of the sport and all that, one thing that George and I always point to is the switching of divisions. That's kind of been done. The double belts, that's happened. For us, it's really about title defenses in your division. What do you look at when you're looking at this new generation? They all want to do something different, but really at the end of the day, I mean, you've now been retired. What is it that kind of you're the most proud of looking back on? And what do you think kind of is that factor, that it factor when it comes to GOAT status?
You know, I think the title defenses matter. You know, we had a great conversation about that. Like, what warrants your title reign being considered great, especially in this climate where everybody is so talented? Is it 2 defenses? Is it 3 defenses? Because I believe the days of 10, 9 title defenses like Jones and Anderson and them had, I think that's over. I don't think anybody's going to be holding the belt for 9, 10 defenses. I think, and if they do, I think with the level of the sport today, if a guy puts together 8, 9 title defenses, yes, he should be in the conversation because I think athletes are just so much better than they were back in the day and so much more skilled because they're doing it longer. They're starting as kids that want to be mixed martial artists. But I think it's those title defenses. I think it's that willingness to go and try something different. It's gonna be very hard now to be the first at something, right? Whereas Connor's the first double champion. I was the first person to win 2, defend 1 in both. It's like those firsts are all covered now. If Alex can be a guy that wins a 3rd belt, that dude better be in the conversation as the greatest of all time. And hell, he's only got like 11 fights in his entire career.
But what about the struggle to get there? Like the others struggle. Well, maybe GSP got gifted, and I guess Jones got gifted.
It's
But
not a
I
gift,
don't know.
though.
Like
Those guys, it's
it's
based in
legit.
all
Don't
those
get me
things that you
wrong,
love.
but you only
It's
got to
based in
win
all
one fight.
It's based in all those things that you love. All those title defenses earned Jones that title fight. All those title defenses earned George St. Pierre that title fight. It wasn't just, oh, George, you want to
Well, they
fight a
didn't have to go
middleweight?
through their division, though. They didn't have to go
Yeah,
through
I
their
get it.
division and
But
to
they're
win it.
going through an entire division. And the only reason, think about this though, the only reason that ever becomes a possibility is if that guy that's going through that entire division is one, ready to move up, and the other guy that is the champion up is lacking challengers. Then the guy gets an opportunity. The only one that didn't get it because of those circumstances was Conor. Conor made that happen. He had challengers, Eddie Alvarez did, but Conor made it happen. With me, I kind of feel like Stipe had defended that belt so many times that they needed someone to fight him. And they said, "You want to fight him?" I go, "Absolutely." And I didn't go through the struggle. Sure, I fought heavyweight to start, but it's a matter of the situation and circumstances. It's with everything, man. Everything comes down to circumstances in this sport, and you got to be ready whenever your opportunity comes to you.
Well, like you said, I thought you paid your dues at heavyweight, and then you went down to light heavyweight and did your thing. So going back up didn't seem like a gift. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you had put the work in earlier. But I mean, look, if Pereira does do that, it's something that's unusual. You still with us, DC?
yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. In fact, I just pulled up the 30 greatest fighters that we did last year. I'll tell them to you real quick. I'll go from 10. Number 10 was Miocic. Number 9 was Volkanovski. Number 8 was Nunes. Cormier was 7. Aldo 6. Nurmagomedov 5. Silva 4. Demetrius Johnson 3. Jon Jones 2. GSP 1. And the reason I bring this up is because the champs is legit. Don't get me wrong. But if you notice, way at the top, it was those guys that defended the title and just
Yeah,
they went through their divisions or whatever. And I try and tell the younger fighters, if that's what you want to do, okay, but I think you're going to be remembered more for like Makhachev. These are your boys I'm going to talk about. Makhachev and
yep.
Habib. Makhachev could possibly surpass Habib if he continues getting title defenses, right?
I think that
Even though he's
Habib.
lost once and Habib never lost, which is
Yes,
amazing. But
yes.
still, if he can get all those title defenses, you never know. He might be in that conversation. He'll always be a shadow because that's his big bro, right? I get that. But now he's talking about like Leon Edwards when he's yet to even properly defend until less than a month from now.
He's fighting the guys they put in front of him. He's fighting the guys they put in front of him. And again, lack of challengers. He was going to fight Charles Oliveira for a second time before he fought Volk for a second time. I don't know.
All I know is Gamrot was there. Gamrot was there as a backup.
Yes, but why? But something in that wasn't valuable enough to the UFC to make that fight happen.
I get that. I get that part. But
right?
I still feel like
that's the truth.
Makhachev, before thinking about Edwards, should say, man, let me whack some of these 55ers and solidify what I've done here before I even start thinking of grander things or dreams or whatever.
I just think these athletes today are much more big goal oriented, and they just want things.
Mm-hmm.
Look, man, these fighters don't. They want to be doing historic things, and even if it happens, it's not going to happen a lot where people win 2 belts. And I think it'll slow down a little bit. I think it'll slow down a little bit, especially with the way it went for Volk, and then the way it went for Izzy. Right? They've had a lot of people try it and it not actually happen for them.
I know you agree with Jones in maybe pursuing Pereira. To me, it just looks like to me and a lot of other people that he just wants no part of Aspinall. So he's
That's what
kind
it
of
seems like.
creating this other thing with Pereira, right? But here's what I would say to Jones and anyone else. Um, Look at a guy like Sugar Ray Leonard, right? Where he was like 38-1, I think. His only loss was Roberto Duran. He avenged it. And then when he had those problems with the retina, he says, hey, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go from welterweight, which is 147, to 160 and fight the badass that is Marvin Hagler. That's why when people see Sugar Ray Leonard nowadays, they're in awe because he tested himself against the best and others that were at the best in their time. Doesn't matter that he has that one loss or then that other loss to Camacho. He established himself as the man. So undefeated is awesome, but it doesn't have to happen. That's why
But
Mayweather
George,
doesn't get some of the love like Sugar Ray
yeah,
Robinson and
George, I
Julio
will
Cesar
counter
Chavez
you.
and some of the others.
I will counter you with when Sugar Ray Leonard did that. Sugar Ray Leonard did that also because Sugar Ray Leonard was in a position where he was a good looking guy that was winning. He was one of those guys that it felt like he got built to be the champ because he checked all the boxes and he wanted to prove stuff. What people forget about Sugar Ray Leonard was he was fucking tough. He was tough. He was
Hell
mean.
yeah.
He was really, really good, but they all didn't want to give him the credit for that. But by going up and doing those things, it proved to him and people that he was much more than just a pretty face. Athletes today don't have to do that, especially in mixed martial arts, when the weight classes are so different and the weight between the weight classes are bigger than what we see in boxing. I mean, in boxing, there's 140, 47, 54, 65. Like it's every 5-7 pounds.
Right. I just think of Jones. I'm not even into the Miocic fight, honestly. You got an undisputed against an
That's
interim. So
well,
make
you
that
got
happen with Aspinall. And if he loses, it's not going to take away from the greatness that is Jon Jones
but that's
or any
BS
of these.
though. That's BS. That's BS. He loses
Why
to
is that?
Aspinall. He loses to Aspinall. People will start to question if he's that guy because that's how it works. That's how it works. I mean, for so long, there was never a question that Anderson Silva was always going to be considered the greatest of all time. Dude starts getting beat towards at the end of his career, and now George, you're even your list: George St. Pierre, Jon Jones. Had he not started losing those fights, he would have still sat right by Jon Jones and George St. Pierre, if not above them. That's how it is.
Well, he had four losses before he even got to the UFC, and then he had a bunch towards the end. So yeah, that kind of hurts when it's that many. But
Yeah,
for Jones, it would only be his first one. We're not going to count the Hamill one. So
yeah.
I don't know, just seeing the best against the best
Dude, it would be
makes the
great.
most
I would
sense.
love it. I understand. But this dude right now is probably at a point in his career where he's like, make the most money, take the least amount of risk. That would seem to me like he's trying to do it smart. Because I know that Tom Aspinall is a problem, man. He's the real deal. He's big. He's physical. He's strong. He can wrestle. He can do everything that would seem to present problems to a guy going up in a weight class to try to beat him.
You are very popular in the media nowadays, and I wanted to ask you. I know that Drakkar Klose
Thank
and a
you.
few other athletes, they'll have their things to say. What's that transition been like? Have you found? I'm not fishing for kudos or anything like that, but do you at least maybe fist bump the media, kind of like, man, your job's
All the
tougher than I
time.
thought, or
All the
like
time.
it's different now, right?
You guys look, I know that the media gets a lot from people. Even Dana gets mad at the media. But reality is, from the very start of what I did, I've always kind of been embraced by that side. But I also understand now more than ever the opposite side because you get mad. Like Drakkar Close is actually pretty cool with me. I like him. What he said the other day took me by surprise until I went back and Felder told me what happened. I don't even remember. Like I don't even remember doing that. But here's what we as fighters turn analysts and talking heads have to remember. What we say to us is something I will say that I may believe in passing, and then I kind of move on with my life and everything else. But that athlete,
Right.
though, he might hang on to that. And if he doesn't see you for 3 months, when he sees you, he wants to be the one to tell you, "Hey, I remember when you said that." But I had no idea what he was talking about. But if you think for 1 second that Jakar wouldn't clinch Paul against the octagon, you're crazy. Because he should. That would be the best way to fight that fight.
Who's been the most pissed at you in these types of
Everybody,
incidences
or
from
they get mad
comments
at
you
me.
made?
They would get mad at the boy. But it's not me disrespecting them. I don't have it. I love the fighters. I don't disrespect them. I just gotta tell them. I just tell them the truth. And most times, if you can take it as it is, it will benefit you. I mean, I love talking about this. I love this sport. I love fighting. I love just my job and what I get to do. So anytime I get a chance to talk about it, I'm more than into it. I really am like just a very credentialed fan. I love fighting. It's
Mhm.
amazing.
Don't leave us hanging though. Give us a name. Who's pulled you aside in the back that said, "Hey man, that ain't
Well, dude,
legit." Where all
Phil
of a
Hawes,
sudden they're like, "Hey, is
Phil
something going to go
Hawes looked
down
like he
here?"
wanted to fight me. Phil
Okay,
Hawes
there's a
looked like
name.
he wanted to fight me because he said I picked him as the Ron Wynn's opponent. You guys don't remember that in Austin? He was mad. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, they get a little upset with the boys sometimes, but it's all good, man. Generally, they will be upset. We talk, and then they're all pretty cool about it. It's not too big a deal.
Yeah. Goes. What else you got?
I want to go back to something he said earlier because you brought up. I got your reasoning with Stipe Miocic and Jon Jones and all that, but you've been in there with Stipe. You know what he's capable of. It's been a while though. Does he
Four
still have?
years.
Does he still have what it takes to beat Jon Jones?
I fought at 30. I fought at 41, and I knew how different I was from 39 to 41. Steve hasn't fought in 4 years. I don't know how you get back in that octagon and fight as effectively as you need to be. One thing though is, and I don't know, we don't know because Cyril Gahn didn't test that as much as we thought he would. Is Jon Jones that same guy? We don't know that. We don't know if Jon Jones is the guy that he was back when he was beating all those great fighters. I mean, I don't know. We really did get a sample size of who Jon Jones is as a heavyweight. And I don't, I mean, can you make a judgment based on that? I don't know.
Back to Sugar Ray Leonard. All right. There's
Okay.
something that we've always talked about back in the day. All right.
Yep. Yep.
And what it was in boxing, there was a difference between you could say, let's say Floyd Mayweather is the greatest boxer of all time, but the greatest fighter of all time might be Muhammad Ali, might be Sugar Ray Leonard, it might be Julio Cesar Chavez. There was a difference in
Mm.
mixed martial arts back in the day when we first started. Chuck didn't have a choice. He had to fight Tito. He had to fight
Yep.
Randy. He had to fight Vitor. There weren't
Yep.
that many. Have things changed in mixed martial arts where now you can say this guy's the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, but that dude's the greatest fighter of all time?
Nah, I don't know. I mean, Nate Diaz told me I wasn't a fighter. And I didn't quite understand what he meant. And then someone said that there are athletes and there are fighters. And honestly, I was like, man, I kind of agree with Nate Diaz. Like, not, I was so mad at him when he said it, but I was mad at him because he called me a bitch. But like, I kind of agree with him. There are people that are athletes that fight in mixed martial arts as athletes. I don't know that I fall into that category. Um, but there are people that are just athletes. But I think when you look at it and you be honest with yourself and everyone else, the guy that you would consider the greatest of all time will be a fighter. You we sometimes see the athlete. I'm not going to name a name, but we see the athlete, and when you see the athlete when it gets insanely tough and they can't deal with it, and it's not what they expect, it's not a sporting competition, they fold, right? So if a person gets to the point that they're in that conversation, they will be a fighter because only because it's never easy, right? And when they say this dude's not a fighter, well, when I fought Alexander Gustafsson, I went through some tough stuff. And I got through it because I was a fighter. Josh Barnett, I got through it because I was a fighter. All those hard fights that I went through to win, you have to be a fighter to do that because the athlete will not live up to it. They don't thrive in those situations.
A guy that could be called a boxer and a fighter, Mike Tyson. He's going to do it again. All right.
Yeah.
What do you think? Me and George go back and forth with this all the time because you don't know what to expect with Mike Tyson. But how do
Yep.
you see that fight playing out?
I don't know. Like, I don't even know how they're calling this a fight. Honestly, I don't even know how it's a fight. It's a weird deal. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think if Mike Tyson can fight and just is free to fight the way he wants to, he's either gonna knock him out or he's gonna get caught with something that's gonna get him knocked out. But hell, I'm watching it. It'll be fun as long as it lasts because uh, anytime Iron Mike fights, I'm such a massive fan. It don't matter his age. Granted, uh, it'll be tough, but man, age wins, right? It beats us all. Father Time is undefeated. There's nothing ever said more true in the world than Father Time is undefeated. And Mike looks
Father
great.
Time's not
Let's
undefeated.
let's see how he operates. What do you mean he's not undefeated?
Look at Hugh Hefner.
It's not.
Bro, look at my face, dude. Like, look at all this shit. I
Father
look
Time. I'll tell
terrible.
you why. It's actually a pretty cool saying, but it's actually one of the dumbest ones ever, and I'll tell you why. Because like I remember when Tom Brady was towards the end, especially with the
Yeah.
Buccaneers, people would say, you never know, man. Father, like before the Super Bowl, Father Time gets everyone. So by saying that, you are saying that if Brady loses, Father Time got him, right?
But
But
if
if
he
Brady
wins,
then what? He beat Father Time. Father Time's taking a few L's. Is all I'm saying.
yeah,
Not all the time, but he's George Foreman
it,
coming back at 48, 40. No one thought he could do it. I'm telling
for
you, Mike
one
Tyson's
night.
going to knock him out
For
within 2, which means
all
Father
right,
Time's going to take another L.
all right, let's see that. I want to see
I
that.
don't think Tom Brady needs to take any more L's, man. He took a lot this past weekend. Leave
You
that
watched
man
that roast?
See the
alone.
roast?
I didn't get to watch it. I didn't
Yeah.
watch it.
Would you ever get roasted, DC?
Fuck
Could you
no.
handle it?
Mm-mm. It's the worst.
No?
Especially if you've been like if you've ever been on the butt end of a joke multiple times. Getting roasted is not fun, especially in today's day and age with getting roasted because they're trying to do more and more and more and cut you deeper and deeper and deeper. So, no,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm good on the roast. Boys, I got
I
practice.
saw you guys having a go at Weidman, and then when he told you about the weight thing, you kind of your reaction was hilarious, but you guys are
He's
boys
awesome.
and all that, so
That's
it
my
was
boy.
fun, friendly artillery. Last thing,
Yep.
what do you think about the way Ronda Rousey's handled this whole thing here? Because I think it's fair to ask you why, because you've done high levels like her, but now you're a media member, so you know what it's like to ask the questions, but also critique performances.
Yep. Well, you're talking in regards to her and the concussions and everything?
Well, it kind of seems like excuses, and then the backlash towards media, and more specifically
Yeah.
MMA media, I
So
guess.
here's the problem here. Now here's the problem with that, right? Only Rhonda knows about the concussions. And
Mhm.
if she is having these types of concussions, the only mistake she made to me is by saying it later because nobody knows if she has concussions. But I will also say this in defending Rhonda, she's always been one that people want to critique, even if it was unjust, right? So when she lost to Holly, it was almost like the world celebrated because they felt like everything got given to her when in reality, she was winning those fights. She was beating people. And if for her to come back and lose to a man in the way she did, everybody celebrated, said to hell with Rhonda, go and be gone. So now when she comes back and says, well, I've had these issues over my life, I don't know how she could because how she could not have had those issues because I understand how difficult it is to do the sports that she did Olympic level, the throw in
Right.
every day in the room, the it's hard, man, and I can't even count how many concussions I've probably had in my life, but ultimately, only she knows, and I believe that her saying that, like, I don't disagree with her as much as most might because well, all she's doing is telling her truth, right? And she's writing a book. And when writing that book and promoting it, somebody probably looked in that book and found something where she spoke about the concussions. And then it becomes
Yeah.
something more, right? And then everybody's like, oh, well, she's making excuses. When in reality, Ronda Rousey was the one that lived that. And I know from wrestling, I know from being at the OTC with her how hard it is to compete in an Olympic level sport and the type of damage that you do to your body on your way to trying to become a champion or an Olympic medalist.
I feel you, man. That's nice for you to have her back, and I don't disagree with a
It's
lot
not
with
even
what you're
about
saying.
having her back. I just think that it's her truth. And if you're writing your book, you tell the story, right? When you write a book, you tell the story. You tell the good, you tell the ugly. I thought that her saying it probably would make people take a look within themselves and go, man, I wonder how many I've actually had.
Would it bother you though if in some of your biggest wins, the people you vanquished, the people you defeated, then made excuses, and which kind of takes away from the win. That's the thing, is I love this sport because it's so pure, and I love it when they
Yeah.
hug it out, like what Aldo did for
But on that
Martinez.
night,
That's a
on
nice
that night,
pickup. You know what I'm saying? For that
yeah,
young
but on
fella
that night, I was
to
better.
pick himself up.
I
I don't know,
would think
man.
to myself, on that night, I was better. Unless that person walked in there with
Right.
a concussion, I don't think it changes what happened in those fights. Unless she specifically goes, the only reason I lost was because I had those concussions, and I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't think she said that.
I just rewatched it last night, and Holly Holm just fought such a beautiful fight, man. It
She
was
fought a
really
beautiful. Yeah.
amazing
So for
stuff. I'm
if
not even the
Ronda
biggest
just
Holm
said,
fan, honestly, but just
if
taken
Ronda
away
said
from it,
the
man.
only, if she flat out said the only reason I lost is because I had concussions, now that's the problem. That's taking something from Holly. But if she's just telling her story, the concussions became a part of it, then it is what it is.
It's always great catching up with you, and we thank you for the time. Hopefully, you reconsider this whole Man City thing. That the really sour taste in my mouth, honestly.
Will not happen.
You just
Will
went
not
straight
happen.
for the top.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Top
All
of the table,
all right.
baby. Top of the table. Treble winners.
Hey, this Austin O'Connor's up for us next. Is he the
Yeah.
next AKA champ?
That's my boy. He gonna be all right, man. We grinding
Started
him
with
out
him
though.
0-0, like the way we talked with you.
Absolutely, because you boys are the real deal, and we appreciate you. I never forgot what you guys did for me. Love you, boys. Thank you for
Love you
having me on
too.
again,
Love you
boys.
too, man.
Later,
Talking
buddies.
to you.